Hi guys, I'm Mike and this is Simon.
And over the past 30 years, we've built and sold over £100 million worth of property combined.
And welcome to the Property Developer Masterclass.
Obviously, we break it down in a very detailed way on how you can go about buying that land. We're talking about what we call an option agreement, which gives you the option to purchase that property.
Option being the key word, because you don't have to, for whatever reason, if you didn't want to, you can walk away from the deal, but you have the option.
Correct. The only reason a landowner will ever generally enter into an option agreement is because you're offering them a premium above what it's worth on the open market, okay? There is never a situation where a landowner or a property owner will agree to sell you their property under an option agreement contract if you are not offering them a substantial uplift. And the reason is because you're going to need a minimum of 18 months in general. I won't entertain any option agreements that are anything under 18 months for something that's relatively straightforward. And where we're headed now, my option agreement contract is 7 years. But this is big.
Yeah, so it's more of a strategic site.
This is more of a strategic site. But when I first started out, I was doing smaller option agreements, knocking on people's doors, asking them if they wanted to sell part of their garden or their property as a whole under what's called an option agreement.
Out of all the places, you're like, yeah, I'm going to suggest somewhere where it's the tightest roads known to mankind.
With no parking.
In a truck.
With no truck.
In a jacked up Defender. This guy's trying to park in a space.
That's really that's not happening. What is that angle? How do you ever end up at
That's what
that?
he needs to give up. He's not going to throw.
We're now on your site, so it's parcel of land that you've secured an option agreement in Surrey.
That's right.
Do you want to talk us through, how did this one actually come about?
Yeah, so I got a phone call one day out of the blue by a residential estate agent that I've known and worked with for over 12 years. Mm-hmm. He phoned me up one afternoon and said, would you be interested in an 8-acre site in Surrey?
Brilliant.
Which sounded too good to be true.
Is it, how much are we talking in terms of return that you would be looking at for a project of this size of 8 acres?
This particular option agreement deal returns millions of pounds in profit.
Wow.
And that is trading the option on.
So you're not looking to take it through planning yourself, or you'll take it through planning and then trade it on, but you're not going to be building it out yourself?
Correct. So on this one, it's secure the option agreement, take it through the planning process, and then trade that option agreement. And there should be millions of pounds worth of profit.
So another developer would make their margin on the build.
Correct.
You're making your margin on securing the land, taking it through planning, exiting by trading it onto another developer and taking your difference in the value.
Exactly right.
For millions.
For millions.
So this is a big site.
This is
8 acres is a big site.
Yeah, this is a big one.
You've been doing this 20 odd years, so even 8 acres is, not everyone's going to start at this size.
No one's going to start at this size.
But even a site of 0.2 of an acre, an infill, 2 houses, there's enough just from securing land, taking it through planning, securing an option agreement and trading it on. You don't have to build out a site. That's where a lot of money can be made.
Correct.
Easily hundreds of thousands, up to millions for a site like this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the fundamentals remain the same.
Yeah.
The fundamentals remain the same in as much as the process that you go through to achieve your planning consent and then trade your option on are exactly the same, no matter whether it's a small piece of garden land all the way up to the 8 acres we're standing on today.
It's the same process, the same checks, the same due diligence, the same consultants.
It's just economies of scale.
Yeah.
It just gets bigger. That's all it is. And you're quite right. No one's going to start like I'm doing here on an 8 acre site.
That's not to say they can't start. Anyone could look at a piece of land and go through the same process.
Of course.
It's just a very different animal to look at a small piece of land compared to something. But how many houses are you thinking on this site?
We're going for roughly 200 homes.
So yeah.
So that's 200 homes. So that's going to be a blend of apartments, detached houses and semi-detached houses on here.
Yeah.
But again, I started very, very small 20 years ago, buying parcels of people's rear gardens or side garages and doing exactly what I'm doing here, but just on a much smaller scale.
When you look at big pieces of land like this, I mean, this is fantastic, but often people will look at, someone I've mentored before would come to me with bits of land, big field in the middle of a countryside, and say, well, surely that's deliverable. It's a big, large, empty site. That's where it gets technical because they're not easily to get planning on. Something like that is outside the settlement boundary. It would be a strategic site, or it's never going to get planning. So for most people, when they're starting out, exactly like you did, look at those where there's a corner plot and they've got a bit of a garden to the side or to the rear, you can look to get planning. Something that's got a long back garden, you might be able to knock a garage down, go down the side and build in the rear garden.
Access to the rear.
Those are the best ones to start with. And then do it in the areas you're from or know, so you have a better understanding of what is desirable around there. Get out, get around walking, use Google Maps, walk the dog.
Knock on doors.
Yeah, absolutely, have a look around. That's the amount of times we've started doing it,
is
you're walking around your area, looking to see what has potential. It doesn't have to be an 8 acre field in the middle of Surrey. It could be someone's back garden, someone's side garden. Anything like that is always great to start with. And work your way through those.
But I started small, and it's only after 15, 20 years in business that I've got myself up to this scale now. But we're talking millions on this. But
fantastic.
I've also sold options for hundreds of thousands. I've sold options for tens of thousands. But again, the fundamentals remain the same. Whether it's a small rear garden or someone's garage that you can knock down to build another house on it, the checks that you go through and the process you go through is no different for that than it is for something of this size. And the business is scalable. So once you've done a few small ones and you've got those under your belt, you can then move up gradually to these bigger sites.
And take the risk each time.
Correct.
You know what you're looking for at that point.
That's right. So this is a really easy entry level point to get into property development. Nothing's stopping you from getting in your car, knocking on doors, writing letters and using mapping software to identify these land opportunities.
Direct to vendor. So you're approaching them direct.
Correct. So you identify the land. It doesn't cost you any money to drive around, write a letter or knock on someone's door. I did it for years. I didn't enjoy it when I first started doing it, but I knocked on people's doors. I got told to go away quite a lot of the time, but sometimes they welcomed you in and you happen to approach them at just the right time in their lives and they are willing to sell to you.
You can't be afraid of rejection because it is a numbers game, isn't it? So whether you're knocking on doors, sending letters, you're not going to knock on every door and every letter you send is going to go, yes, here, buy my land. You've got to go through it. You've got to be sending the letters out. It's a numbers game, isn't it?
It's a numbers game.
You might knock on 100 doors, 100 letters. You might get 15 people who respond.
That's right.
Out of those 15, you might get 5 who are willing to go for the next stage, and you might get 1 or 2 out of those. But each one of those could be 100, 200,000 millions in return from doing that legwork and that graft to start with.
I knocked on a door in Cobham in Surrey 6 years ago. Knocked on the door, asked them if they wanted to sell their garden. They agreed an offer with me on a subject to planning option agreement, no different to this, and I made £250,000 by selling that option.
So on the other side, I wrote a letter to a lot of people in Cobham. Most didn't get a response from. One lovely lady said, thank you for your rude and impertinent letter. I have a few words to you, please f*** off. So you can't be afraid of rejection because you're going to get some. But
it's
out
worth
of those
it.
100 letters, I got probably 5 responses and 1 was for a block of apartments.
Right.
So it's going to be give and take. You're going to send a lot out. You're going to knock on a lot of doors. But the returns are substantial for what is a minimum investment, really, isn't it? It is it doesn't take much, doesn't cost much to send letters, buy stamps, but the return you can make on something from so simple, from getting, and in a nice way, there's no real risk.
Yeah.
You're not building anything out. You're not investing money into a small portfolio of rental properties.
Or HMOs.
HMOs, you're putting your money, you know, even if it's 10 to 15,000, you borrow other people's monies to use it to take it through the planning, to potentially secure yourselves hundreds of thousands. It's the best strategy to get started in property.
I agree, and it's something that I've been doing for 20 years now. I love it. I love securing option agreements, and I love the whole process of getting planning, and then once that planning's granted, selling it to another developer. I'm completely de-risked with very little investment, and then I'm out and I'm gone, and I never put a spade in the ground.
It's also quite rewarding to think you've taken a piece of land, back garden, something that was unused, unloved, overgrown, whatever it is, and you've now taken that through the process, increased the value, and whether you build it out yourself or someone else's, but you've literally created something from nothing.
Yeah.
That is the definition of value. You have taken something that was, in the nicest way, wasted, you've increased the value, and now there are homes that have been built on that.
Yeah,
That's such a fantastic feeling to go and see that you've taken something from nothing and generated a huge return as a result.
Yeah, I agree. It's the best way to start.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Property Developer Masterclass.
If you want to learn about land sourcing, property development, and how to make six-figure sums through both, click on the link below and register for a call.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Those are the best.
32 reps without stopping.
Without stop. You can't stop. You got a rep full contraction from down straight up, full extension, 32 reps.
Gangster.
Yeah. Rather than straight to side. Hi, I'm a pretentious. Look at what I've built.
Yeah. Look at everything I've built.
Yeah. To compensate for my small penis.
Yeah. That's me, isn't it?
Awful. Me and you. Yeah. I was looking at the floor. I was
Worried as well.
Yeah, I
It
was
always
really
takes a
worried.
little
Yeah.
bit.
At least not.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Should we hug it out?
Fun.
Yeah. It's just gonna be one big gay show, isn't it? Every episode.
This is going. It's getting quite homoerotic.
It's more and more of a bromance coming. It is.
getting-
It is.
Do you want to come to Barbados?
But it's, I wear my speedos. Anyway,
I don't know why, but I was younger. I was like, I'm going to drive it around. Music, I'm thinking I'm
Yeah.
absolute nuts.
Yeah.
And I went down to see, and this is like when I was working doors as well. Went down to see someone make some doors. Got back in the car, cream leather as well. Cream leather, cream carpets.
Yeah.
I was halfway home and I was like, it stinks out here. And I thought, it stinks in here. And I looked down and I trod an inch just as I got in the car.